Hello again. Let's get into The Instant Farmer, chapter number 21. The next morning, Ken wakes up in his bed. He is proud of his friend for finding love last night. He wants to send a text message to Greg. Nothing important, just to say hi. Ken wants to take a shower this morning. He is so happy to be in his apartment. He turns on the shower and cleans himself. A full body cleanse is exactly what he needs right now. Sarah is busy today with family. Ken likes that she is close to her family and that he might meet them one day. This Sunday, Ken has nothing to do. Both his girlfriend and his best friend are doing something, and they are not available to talk. So, after showering, Ken decides to go for a long walk. He wants to get dressed and leave his apartment as soon as possible. Before Ken leaves his apartment, Greg sends a text message. He tells Ken about the wild night he had and that he is on his way home. Greg needs to walk his dog right away. So, he is hoping Ken is available this morning. Ken loves Lola, and he is happy to meet Greg at the park. Greg, Lola, and Ken arrive at the park at the exact same time. They say hello and find their way to the off-leash dog area. Greg opens the gate. He unclicks Lola's leash and watches her run. She is definitely playing nicely with the other dogs. Ken likes to watch Lola run. Greg says, "This woman is amazing." Ken says, "Yeah, you two have great chemistry. I was surprised you didn't go to the hotel earlier in the evening." Greg says, "I really like her. She might be the last girlfriend that I will ever have." Ken says, "I'm happy for you." Greg says, "We are going out later today. We are very happy together." Ken says, "Have fun with your new girlfriend." Greg says, "Thanks, buddy. It means a lot to me." Ken smiles at his best friend, and the two of them enjoy the morning together. Lola comes around ever so often. She is very busy with the other dogs. Ken likes to pet Lola when she is close, and Lola appreciates the affection. It is almost time to go home. So Greg calls for Lola to come to him. She is so obedient. He attaches the leash, and then they leave the dog area. Ken says goodbye and see you later to Greg. Then they go home in opposite directions. Greg goes straight home, while Ken starts out on his walk. He's scheduled a long walk today. As he walks, Ken runs into ideas through his mind. He is out of his apartment because of the seeds. He is walking because of the seeds. He needs a solution. This walk could prove to be Ken's chance to figure this out. So, on to his walk. The first idea that passes through his mind is, what is the next step? What could he possibly do to better his situation? Is he going to grow more fruit? How can he find a way to sell what he grows? So, what is the next step? Ken had a wild idea to drive around the country in a recreational vehicle. But the timing is not right. After all, he has just been put in charge of a new project. That's right, he has work to think about also. He is committed to his current life in many ways. He cannot leave. At the same time, he needs a solution. So, Ken walks. He passes the future job site of the project that he just started. Maybe he can get a better picture if he understands the neighborhood. He needs his work to distract himself from farming. How much work could he possibly do on Sunday? He can focus on a solution to those seeds as soon as he gets used to the area near the future job site. This day is full of distractions. Ken walks around the future job site twice before figuring out that it will be the tallest building in the neighborhood. It will be a point of focus for many years to come. He makes a note of all the nearby businesses. He feels they should probably be happy for the project. Just think about all the potential customers that will come from the building. These businesses stand to make a lot of money because of Ken. Ken can only distract himself for so long before something causes him to think about farming. In this example, Ken passes by a fruit and vegetable store. Instantly, he thinks about the seeds. Hey, maybe he can sell his crop to the store owner. But what about the origin of the crop? His fruit is at the peak of ripeness. Ken will clearly have a better product. Even if the store owner selects his fruit by hand, Ken's produce will be exponentially better. Where did these seeds come from? Ken is remembering how much fruit he has in his apartment. He has so much fruit, he might even be able to open his own fruit store. Now, that is funny. But he has the urge to go home and put whatever fruit he has left into the juicer. He is wondering if he should go home or not. He is so undecided about his current reality. These seeds are causing Ken to be out of his apartment by any chance he has. Whenever he can get outside, he will get outside. That is not fair. He is starting to forget how great his apartment is. Lunchtime is almost here. Ken is still outside. Ken is still thinking about life. He wants to walk to the bookstore and read up on farming. There's a good chance that the bookstore will have something that he could read. He starts to walk with a newfound purpose. He has a destination again. So, he is on his way to the bookstore. Farmers have quite the lifestyle. It is not every day that there is a harvest. On his time off, a farmer has the opportunity to enjoy the scenery and the landscape. He or she might like to take a bike ride around, or a leisurely drive around the back roads. At night, there might not be very many lights around to bother stargazing. That's right, farm country is great for seeing stars. It might be about time to move into the country. Could he do it? Could Ken actually make that kind of move? He wants much more information before making a decision one way or the other. His trip to the bookstore is over. He has made it. He opens the door and steps inside very carefully. Ken feels like he is in such a familiar place. The bookstore is so comfortable for him. The owner comes around the counter to greet Ken. He is proud to have Ken as a customer. The store owner says, "Hi there, it has been a long time since you were here last." Ken says, "Only a couple days, Jack." Jack says, "How is your mom doing?" Ken says, "Thanks for asking. I spoke with her a few days ago. She is really doing well." Jack says, "On Sunday, you need to be with family. I am so proud to spend time with you today." Ken says, I have the greatest things to say about you when I mention this bookstore. You are amazing. Jack says, you are too kind. Ken says, so, today I am looking for information about farming. I know that is a broad topic, but it would really mean a lot to me if I could read up on the subject. Jack chuckles. So, young Ken wants to be a farmer. I have just the thing for you. Jack goes back around the counter so he can access the computer. He does a quick search and finds a few titles. He makes a note on where to find the titles in the store. He hands the note to Ken. Ken starts to walk toward the correct aisle. He looks around a bit, then finds one of the titles. He picked it off the shelf, and he searches for the second title. The second title is more of a how-to style book. It tells the reader about starting a garden, perhaps not a large enough scale. He needs bigger land, bigger amount of yield, just bigger. So he puts the gardening book back on the shelf. Here is the book he is looking for. This book tells the reader about large-scale farming practices. This one will be perfect. So he puts all of the books away except for the one that he wants. The book feels heavy. He brings the one book with him to the owner. He wants to buy it. Jack looks at the book. He notices how Ken wants to farm, and he kind of gives a look of approval. He puts the scanner on the barcode, and the computer tells everybody that the price will be $23. That sounds expensive for a book, but Ken doesn't even bat an eyelash about the price. He just wants to get the book home and dive into farming culture. He says goodbye to Jack, and he is on his way home. That concludes this chapter. I hope you enjoyed listening. Again, if you want to read along with me, then you should pick up a copy of my ebook from Kindle. Goodbye until the next chapter.